Here it is. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Like I said, we are going to start from the very beginning. So you'll always go to squarespace.com to log in. And when you log in, I use Google to log in. You could also use your username and password here on the side. I use Google so that I have less to manage, really.
Yes, I
So
do the same.
yeah, yes, it's much simpler this way. I, of course, have like 6,000 websites on my dashboard. You should have just one, this one up at the top. So the rest of this would just be white space. Karen does not have her domain on Squarespace. It is still being hosted by GoDaddy. But if it were here, you could toggle here between dashboard and domains. But you can ignore that domains tab. So then you'll click on her website. And now you're in what's considered the back end of Karen's website. So here are all of the menu items that Squarespace offers. Occasionally, Squarespace, like just recently, they made a change. Now you hit what this used to be called pages here. Now it's website.
Okay.
So sometimes there are some like, changes over here. You'll start to get emails about those things now that you guys are on Squarespace and have a Squarespace website. You'll get updates. So when you want to edit the page, you're going to hit website. And here are all of her pages. So we have two different options here. We have main navigation. That simply means that these are here in her menu. They're visible, they're active. And then we have not linked. So this one's grayed out because it's not in the menu bar and also it's not active. It's disabled. This one is not grayed. It's still in bold because it is active, but it is not in the menu bar. If I were to drag this up here, it would jump onto it jumps onto the menu.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's the difference there. It does explain it here as well. If you end up being like, what is the difference here?
Yes.
It's
Okay.
also there. These utility items down here, I don't foresee you needing at all. They just added this. And so, maybe occasionally if you need to put some custom CSS in on the back end, but a lot of the code injections happen on page. If you want to do cookies and that kind of thing, those are under website tools, which is under pages. And if you throw something out that you didn't mean to, like if you accidentally deleted an entire page, for example, it'll live in this trash bin for 30 days and then it'll get thrown out. For good.
Okay.
So to edit, you'll click on which page it is that you want to edit. And if you're trying to edit desktop or mobile, you'll choose between these two up here. So then you'll hit edit. So in this case, we are editing desktop version. So you always hit edit, and this is a front end editing system. So what you see is what you're editing. Whereas if you've worked with WordPress before, it's a back end editor, which it might look a lot different what you're editing,
Yes.
right? As opposed to the front page. So this is helpful in that sense where you are editing what you see. So if you wanted to change this text, for example, after you hit edit, you just click on it and you can change it however you please. Let's say you wanted this left adjusted. All of that stuff is right up here. You wanted it to be bold or italicized, or changing the color, or changing the size. All of that stuff lives here. You just highlight and go. Same thing with images. You'll just click on the image. Everything will have a pencil. You're not editing until you hit the pencil. So the pencil, you click, and then from here you can hit replace, throw it out. You can upload right here. You can add links. And then the design. So for example, this one is designed to look like a shape. You can change the shape. You know, there's all kinds of different options here. If you want it to open up in a light box or have an overlay, there's all kinds of different things here, which you're welcome to play around and have a look. The back side of each section, so this is considered a section, this is considered a section, this is considered a section. Each of these have different backgrounds. If you want to edit the background, like this one's pink, for example, you would hit edit section. In this particular case, this is an image that I created in Canva and imported. So you can use this feature where you have an image as the background, or you can just have color. In which case, this is where you would change the background color or image. Perfect. And same for here. So edit section, this one's color. This was also background image. So you would swap that here. If you wanted to swap color, you just come over here. And so on. Changing button links are just as simple. You're going to hit the pencil. You're going to have links here. This little gear will open up. In this case, we have it going to a page, and we can have it open in a new window here or not. If it were for page, that's an inbound link. So that's within the website. It's linking to another place within the website. Web address is considered an outbound link. So this is going to be, it's taking me to a different website or a different place, not within our own website. File, this is like if I had Karen's CV attached to something or her portfolio. Email, this is if I want for it to open directly to mail to. And then phone, this would be like if I hyperlinked a phone number so that when I clicked it, it would open up on my phone to just go ahead and hit call.
Perfect. Okay.
Sorry if you can hear those sirens. And then we have galleries. We have a couple of galleries on your site, Karen. Okay. The way that those function are, I have all of the images pulled in, just dropped into this little portal, essentially. It's quite simple to move them around. Like, let's say we wanted this one in front of creating a family, you just pick it up and drag it over. If you didn't want it anymore, you just throw it away. If we wanted to hyperlink all of these, we didn't link this particular section because some of them have 2 different podcasts, and we were like, which one do we choose? So instead we have this Spotify playlist on her resources page. So, but you can do all of that here. You can add links or descriptions or whatever. And then testimonials. This particular section is a scroll. And so in order to edit the testimonials, instead of clicking on the text like other text boxes, we're actually going to hit edit content over here. We have these in a couple of places. This elements part, you could skip over. If we're adding new content or taking content away, you would see this content section, and over here are the testimonials. Something to note is that the title text is the large text and the description text is the small text. So I have the testimonial in as a title and the person who left the testimonial's name as the description, so that it is the smaller of the 2. So it's a little counterintuitive in that sense, but
yes, I was playing around with that. I figured that out. So yeah, it was a little confusing at first, but I'm like, yeah. Oh, okay. See.
Yes. Yeah. There are some funny finagling things that you have to do. But here is the section title, which we of course have it named testimonials. If you had a different one, you would want, if it was for something else, you could name it. Or if you wanted to name, things people say about us or whatever, this is where you would edit that. And then here's her footer. this is a global, so this is on every page, at the bottom of every page. When you edit this, it's the same thing. You just hit edit footer. You can change the background color just as you would on any other section. You can edit any of these things. It's all the same. Now, on the back end, when you open this up, this looks like it's laying over top of each other. But for some reason, the way that this MailerLite code dropped in has a lot of white space around it. And I was trying to erase that in the best way that I could. And so when I close out of the editing, it's actually, they aren't overlaid. It's
Okay.
just for whatever reason, on the back end has that funny thing. So if you ever edit the footer and you want to edit that little piece, it's not actually hidden on the front end. It's just the back end.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. Any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay, great.
Everything's good. Yep.
Awesome. Cool. Because editing the rest of these pages will be very similar. So same thing with Meet Karen. You're always gonna click edit in the top left. And whatever you want to edit, you're going to hit the pencil first. So if it's the image, then pencil, or text, then pencil. If you want to add new pieces, like if you wanted to add a new section, for example, you would obviously click add new section. This is going to create a space between. These are like demo options that you can choose from, that Squarespace has. If you don't like any of those, you can always choose add a blank. And then from here, you can add blocks. Whatever you might be looking for, you can just search for. So if you're looking for, let's say, social icons, you can just type in social, and that will pop up. You choose it, and there she is. You can drag it around. You can make, have it take up as much space as you please. But to change the way that this particular item looks, you're always going to choose the pencil and then the design. So if I wanted it to be larger or smaller or whatever. Same thing with an image. We would add one, hit the pencil. When you add a new image, you have a couple of options here. If I hit this plus sign, I'm going to get 3 choices. This is upload like from the hard drive of my computer. This is upload from the images that we already have saved on the back end of this site, or we can upload stock images. So this is connected to Unsplash. Unsplash is a free stock image photo gallery. So you can search for images through Unsplash. They're always going to give you these like first initial options. Obviously you don't have to use those, but you can type in whatever you please here. You can imagine I do a lot of this. So you can just type in whatever you're looking for, add it in. And then once it's added in, this is when you can really start to play, I want it to be bigger or smaller. I want it to be in the middle or off to the right, whatever you please there. If you want to add a link, you can have it on the image. You have all the same options. You can link images to any of, an inbound page, an outbound page, a file, email, or phone. And then playing with the design if you want it to fit or fill or have a shape. And then with text, we have the same thing. So add a text box. You can, expand it however far you want for it to go. When you start to type, then you can decide to change, I want it to be heading 2 and italicized, and I actually want it to be green text. And then this is where we were having the TheraPlay R, where you guys were hoping it would be smaller. This is where it gets tricky. If we're on the same line in text, I cannot make the same line have 2 different sizes.
Right.
The same line wants to be one size. but the next line could be different sizes. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
So that was the trouble with that particular piece. Okay, so we made all of these changes and we hate it. So we're just going to remove the whole section. And always, I would say, get in the habit of hitting save early because unlike a Word document, it's not going to auto save for you. And if you've made an error that you don't know how to, like, let's say you accidentally deleted a section that you didn't mean to delete, but you made a bunch of other edits that you did mean to make, if you hit exit, it's not going to save. And so you might have done all of this work that you meant to save that doesn't end up getting saved. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just like being
right.
It reminds me of high school. I'm like, oh my gosh, I accidentally deleted my essay, you know, or whatever.
Yes.
So that's a good habit to get into is saving as you go along so that you don't lose anything.
Okay. Yes.
All right, we're going to hop on supervision and consultation. And on this particular page, I'll show you for mobile editing.
Can I, while you're getting that together,
Yeah.
We, at some point, the top being in 2 lines where we have circle way and therapy under the other, I don't want that way. So I don't know what we'll do about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that once we've gone through all of the editing stuff so that we don't
absolutely
have,
I just
not on YouTube.
Honestly, I just didn't want to forget it.
Yeah, no, I have the note. I have that note down.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm sure you have a method of going over this in an organized way, and I don't want to interrupt that.
No, it's okay. I just don't want you to look back at your YouTube video if you need it for some reason and then
yes
like, oh, let me go through this.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll touch on that
okay
here in just a minute. So as far as editing for mobile view, you're going to hit the phone over here and then you're going to hit edit just like you did on the desktop version. The way that this functions is the exact same. So everything is click the image, hit the pencil, edit from there, and so on. Sometimes things on mobile will randomly decide, like for whatever reason, that text box decided to be extra long today. And so you have to kind of move some things around or whatever, right? So, and the order of things can sometimes jump around. So every time you make an edit on the desktop, it's important to double check the mobile. Because it will often sometimes like this line might end up all the way up top or whatever. Yeah, like this one, for example, I made some things wrong earlier so I could show you guys how to, if I had something to do. So, and you can, as you both probably have used before, you can select multiple things at a time by using Shift. So if you click one thing and choose Shift and click the next thing and the next thing, you can grab all 3 at the same time and drag them up instead of having to pull one thing at a time and so on. And then if you see this giant white space at the end of any sections, this will show up and you can pull it up to tighten that up. But yeah, that's editing mobile view. Same thing, you're gonna hit save when you're done. If you want to edit the site header, this is something that we'll talk about again later. This is to edit the global settings of the heading here. So on mobile or on desktop, it will have 2 different looks, right? You have to exit out of edit to get to the menu for mobile. But that's editing mobile view and then editing the header. You can hit edit in the top And then you've got these three options. We have the global view, which is what is your site title and logo. In this case, we have that all uploaded. And what are the sizes? So if at any point you want to make it bigger or smaller, here's where you would do that. Some people have a different logo that they choose to use on their mobile. You don't, but this, if at some point if you wanted to, you would upload that here. And then elements, we don't have any in play, but if you were to have a button, it would show up like that. Or social links, they would show up like that. We have all of this in the footer, so we're not using it in the header. Some people want to use a language switch. So if they have, a plethora of people using their site that might want to read it in a different language, you can have that turn on. And then a cart. You don't have a cart because you don't have a commerce set up on your site. If you did, it would show up there and it would be right here on the right. Style, this is going to be what order things are in. So in this case, we have a solid background as opposed to a gradient or a theme or a dynamic. I think solid makes the most sense for you. You can change the background color or the color of these menu items if you wanted for it to have a border or not. And a drop shadow, which is just gonna give it a little, of course you can't see it right now because we're on pink. Let's just change the color. Yeah, it has like literally it's supposed to be a shadow. It's very subtle. All right, so that's editing global settings. Here, if you hit this little computer, you're editing desktop settings. So this is going to be where you want your logo placement. We've swapped these things around before. You have a couple of different options. And if you wanted it full or inset, we like the full. And then this is all padding. So this is where we were looking at, Karen, for your menu item when they bump underneath of each other. Here's part of I've explained this to you before, so you already know. I might just be saying this, preaching to the choir. The way that this site functions is it's going to, make itself bigger, smaller based on the size of the screen that the audience is using. So if they're on an iPad, they're going to get mobile view. If they're on a giant screen like I am now, it's going to look like this, as opposed to a laptop. It's going to be a little smaller. So these menu items are going to remain at their, I think 16-point font is the smallest we have chosen. It's going to remain at 16-point font. So in order to accommodate for that, those things are bumping underneath each other so that it will fit within the screen. So an option that you have is to tighten up the element spacing. And I was hesitant to do that because they get really almost too close together, where it's like, where's the separation? And I'm sorry, it's link spacing we're looking at, not element spacing. You don't have any elements. If there was a button or a social links or whatever, that's what they mean by that. So the link spacing is what I'm moving around here. I think like 0.9 is probably the closest we could get together that would make it obvious enough that these are different words. And then we'll come back to this and chat more about that. But that's where you're going to edit that particular piece. And then same for mobile. So you're going to hit the mobile icon and you can edit the same thing. So how you want, where you want your logo to be versus that menu item, we have it set up the same. And then which icon you like, if you like 2, 3, or staggered lines, or the plus sign. And then if you like the this thickness to be more bold or less bold. So that's editing the header. And then one more piece that you're going to see in this top is this paintbrush. The paintbrush is where you're going to edit all things fonts, colors, animations, or spacing, buttons, all of that stuff. So if at some point you decide to change the fonts on here, this is where you would swap all of that out. Right now, we have a lot of code working for the fonts because we have a custom font uploaded. So it might be kind of tricky to quickly change the font. So if at some point you guys want to make a switch there and it's not super easy or intuitive to figure out, feel free to reach out. There is some code plugged in. This is where you would swap your color palette. You've got this funny giant L here because we didn't want any black. So we swapped the black for the hot pink. Animations, this is like if you wanted everything to fade in or fade out. If people were on your homepage, for example, and you could turn on a fade where, yeah, as people scrolled, things would load like so. I had none turn on, but if you decide at any point you want to make it a little more dynamic in that way, of course, you're welcome to do that. And then same thing with buttons. If you want to change the way that buttons look, the way that Squarespace works is they give you 3 button options, a primary, secondary, and then like a miscellaneous. So this would be changing what text font is there, what shape is there, if you have an outline around it, how thick it should be. And if you want for the secondary button to look different, you could. We use just the primary button on the site, and we have the colors change with the section color. That's it for page editing for desktop and mobile and site styles. As far as these other options are, so if you're not editing pages but want to have a look at these other menu items that Squarespace has, you'll have this commerce tab. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here because this particular tab is for selling on your site. So if at any point you decide that you want to sell books directly and deal with shipping and all of that stuff, this is where you would set that up. And you can keep tabs on everything. It gives you a whole slew of information. So if at any point you have products, even if it's like an ebook or a download that you want to charge for, you can sell things that are not physical. You can sell digital products or courses or whatever. If at any point,
what about a workshop?
Yep. If you want to, like, selling tickets to a workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, because right now I'm doing that on Eventbrite, as you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because there's a charge for this, right?
Mm-hmm. So you'll have 2 charges. You will get a charge from Squarespace, which is 3%, and then you get a charge from Stripe, which is another 3%. So often I have a lot of clients who just upcharge 6% to cover that cost, or they upcharge 3% to cover the Stripe cost. You can get out of paying Squarespace the 3% if you increase your yearly subscription. Right now you're on a business subscription. They have 2 commerce subscription options to choose from. And one of them, if you pay, I think it ends up being $300 something a year as opposed to $270 a year. If you pay for that larger subscription, you pay 0% to Squarespace, and then you just have the 3% to Stripe. Stripe functions just like PayPal or Venmo. They pay through it, and then the money lives in the Stripe account until you ask for it to move into your business account. But yes, you can set up, if you hit products, you can set up all kinds of different style products. In this particular case, I would say that you were selling either a service or a download because the ticket would come to their email. And so this is where you could set all of that up. And you can set it up so that when they pay for it, they get the email that has their information for coming to the event and that kind of a thing. You can also make it so that if you need to collect information from someone before they check out, like you need their t-shirt size, or you want to know which talk is, if you're having a day or whatever, and you want to know which one they want to attend, you can make a form required so that when people check out, they have to fill out the form before they can even like finally check out. So that's helpful too, so that you know that you're collecting all the information that you would need. I've had some people who have workshops have their like media disclosure there, so that they say, hey, there's going to be photos taken at the event. Click here, yes or no, if you're okay with being in images, so that they know well in advance who is and who isn't. And they don't have to do any of that at registration or day of. So there's lots of options here.
Are you able to, I mean, one of the things that I really like about Eventbrite is you can schedule like 6 emails like that are going to go to all the participants and all of that. So there's a lot of functions in there that I thought probably a website sign up would not have.
Yeah, I think probably there's a little more that Eventbrite offers than Squarespace offers. If I'm being totally honest, I don't have a ton of, like, most of my commerce websites that I've set up are product based, or if they are event workshops or things like that, we have the responder come back with the initial information. And beyond that, I've not had any multiple emails set up or whatever. Although it would be interesting to, I'm sure we could look into that a little more to see if it's available, but I've not had that experience with Squarespace. It does collect, it collects everybody's information just like any other POS system. You would get everybody's information and their email or whatever else you would want to collect. I don't even think I see. Let's see.
That's okay. I mean, I was just curious.
Yeah, it looks like there are customer notifications, customized emails you automatically send to customers. So maybe, maybe you could have that for sure. I would be curious to know if this is an additional cost. I would look to see if this is like you would have to pay a subscription for this particular piece. My hunch is yes, that you would. Let's see if it tells us. Okay, it just took me to the help page. Anyway, I think maybe because Squarespace in the last couple of year, like in the last year and a half, they've come out with a ton of extra stuff that I don't think is totally necessary, but some people love that it's attached. For example, this scheduling piece that's here. There's a whole slew of things that you can do here, like letting people set up appointments through your website, but it's like an add-on. So you have to pay an additional amount for this. They just started in the marketing portal. You can do, you can have your email campaigns come from Squarespace instead of paying MailerLite. You could have everything live right here. They even do social media. They've just started this social media. They'll populate social media posts for you based on your website, which of course is an additional cost or whatever, but they've definitely tried to increase. Here they are. Here are the other social tools that you can use. And the BioSite was one that you had emailed me asking for some more information. BioSite is Squarespace's version of Linktree. So it's meant to be a link in bio page that has all of your buttons to particular places on your site. I've not made one of these yet. I'm really curious to see how it could be different than just building a page within your website. One that I have done before is Gringo. Gringo Cleaning is a local place here in Brevard, and I had them, I created a link in bio page, of course. I can't remember my password. Let's see. I guess I'm gonna, oh, we'll just look at this later. Like, I'm not gonna put this on YouTube with my passwords and stuff, but it's the same idea where you could do a not linked page and call it link in bio, and you could have that particular link as your link in bio on your Instagram, and it could just go, you know, to a not linked page. So I'm not sure how bio sites is going to differentiate from building something within a website that you already have, but I'm sure it has some special something, because otherwise why would you pay for it? I don't know.
So it seems like the gist of most of this is they're trying to add functions that people use other apps for,
Yes.
so that they could earn that money. Well, they're going to sell it as you can have it all in one place, but
Exactly.
so that they can
Squarespace,
earn
the tempting
that money.
shop.
Like, they're seeing this is revenue we could be bringing into Squarespace, and customers wouldn't be using all these others.
Exactly. Exactly. So BioSite is meant to replace Linktree, and their pitch is you can log into one place and you can look at your email list, and you can look at your Linktree, and you can look at your social media campaigns, and you know, everything. They're really trying to make it a one-stop shop. Yeah. And I think they're doing a good job. Everybody I know that is using Squarespace's platforms does enjoy it. So if at some point you decide you want to work with Squarespace email campaigns as opposed to MailerLite, you might have a good experience. You know, it's the same general idea as far as the way that it works and functions. Okay.
Yeah.
There are some things on this marketing tab, though, that people love and use a lot. So the announcement bar is one of them, and it will show up here along the top. We had this turned on for a long while. This was your little announcement at the top of your site that said new website coming. People use this a lot for, you know, like, oh, we have a new event coming, or a new event has been released, or, you know, I've done a handful of churches and they use this for, it's snowing, and so, you know, service is canceled this morning or whatever. This is where you would have that pop up. You can have a link as well. So if it is an event, for example, you can link to your learning page or link directly to your Eventbrite. Or if at some point you decide that you want to have that available to purchase on your own site, you can have that link directly here. And it's as simple as turning it on and off. You can enable it and disable it. And then the promotional pop-up, this would be like if somebody spends a certain amount of seconds on your site, that pop-up's going to come up and give some exciting news or whatever. I've had this turned on only once ever for another site, and I've built hundreds of sites, and only one time ever have I had somebody actually use this feature, because the feedback is usually pop-ups are annoying and people don't want to see them, so they prefer the announcement bar. But you could use either. If at any point in the future you run ads on social media or through Google, here is where you would enter in pixel data, or enter create a URL to track any advertising, things like that. Scheduling, we talked about. Asset library, this is going to be all of those files and images that are on your site. They're going to live here. So this is where you can see all of the things that are uploaded. You can upload a bunch more, whatever. If you delete something out of your asset library, it will likely delete off the page as well. So be mindful of that piece. Analytics. this is the fun part for me. This is the part where I can really nerd out. This is where you'll see the traffic for your site. So holy guacamole, you've got a crap ton of visitors.
I do.
Oh yeah. So in the last 30 days, and your site's only been up 2 weeks, not even 10 days or something like that. You've already had 238 visitors. You've had 534 page views. 214 were considered unique visitors. You can see spike days. So days that you had a bunch of people on it, all of a sudden. So like maybe this is always interesting for me, because you're like, oh, did I post something on the 31st and a bunch of people went to my page that day? Well, that post must have worked really well.
That might be the newsletter you sent
Yeah,
out.
it
Mary.
was. It was the newsletter.
Yeah. So that's great. So then, okay, on the 18th, something went out, and on the 19th, that people were looking at that stuff, and you had a lot of visitors those particular days, and same with the 30th and 31st. And you'll see what they're visiting, like what your users are using as a screen. So are they looking at it from a desktop or a tablet or mobile? It looks like you obviously mostly mobile, which is the norm, but it looks like you have a pretty decent amount of both on desktop and mobile. Very few on a tablet, which is very common. I think people are using tablets far infrequently than they used to. And when they are on tablets, they're going to social media apps and not checking their email. So that doesn't shock me at all. But then these are the sources that people are coming from. So Facebook is number one for you right now. And then direct, so people who are clicking directly or typing in directly KarenDoyleBuckwalter.com. And then these are people who are stumbling upon via Google preview.mailerlite. So yeah, they're coming from emails, and then others. And you've got, all of this other people are mostly on an iPhone as opposed to not an iPhone, and so on and so forth. And this is just this particular page. Each of these is going to give you more information. So this is going to show you your geography, like where in the world people are looking at your website. So you've got people literally all over the world looking at your website. And it will get as specific as like which town in North Carolina you have the most people visiting. It's Hendersonville. This is always fascinating for me for, and maybe for you too, like when you want to have events, choosing a location for an event and that kind of thing. You'll see like, okay, where in California are people looking from? Sacramento is the most popular place in California. South Carolina, Fort Mill. Okay. So this is always, really helpful information for planning ahead for that kind of stuff. It's also helpful for running ads. If at any point you want to run ads, at some point they're going to ask where you want to run ads. And you can kind of, based on where people are already seeing you from, you might want to hit those people more, or you might say, okay, they're getting plenty of us. Let's try and hit some more of these people over in Virginia or whatever. Okay, so this obviously sales, and then sales by product or purchase funnel. These three will be important for you when you decide to start selling via your website. The sales by product will just show you how many people are buying which product, and it'll put it in order of the most popular, which of course helps you in the future for planning for new products. And then the purchase funnel. So which pages did they click on, or what was their, from start to finish, how did they decide to purchase? Traffic sources. This is just more specific for which platform did they end up on your site from. So direct is going to be directly clicking onto the link to your site. They saw it on social media, they searched for you and you showed up. Or referral is if you were like an outbound link on something else. So if you were linked on somebody else's newsletter or whatever. Search keywords. This is the one piece that you'll need to do on your own. So what you'll want to do either Mary or Karen, you'll want to be logged into whatever email is the one that you would want attached to this particular website. So probably your email, Karen.
Mhm.
And all you'll do is make sure that you're logged into that email, and you'll want to hit connect. When you hit connect, it's going to take you through a very short series of like click here, click here, click here to make sure that Google Search Console is connected to your website so that you can receive keywords. So this is going to help you with SEO in the future. It's going to give you feedback on what keywords people are using that you're showing up in searches for. So an example of this is one of my clients is DuPont Yurts and DuPont State Forest here in it's in Penrose, North Carolina. And when people search for me or when they search for DuPont Yurts, we are showing up in each other's searches. So that's something that might become really interesting for you is when, like, for example, are people using the word Theraplay to find you? Or are they using therapy events near me or things like that? And that will help you to understand what words you'll want to continue to use later for your SEO search console. So this is the last piece that you'll need to do as far as connecting everything for your site. And then down here, you have this engagement tab. You've got site content. So this is going to show you how many people were on each page, how long did they spend on those pages. And so exit rate is going to be your, like people were on that page and then they clicked out of your website. And then bounce rate is going to be, oops. Okay, yeah. So that's going to be they jumped on your page. It's very similar to exit rate. Bounce rate is they were on your page and then they stopped searching around. They opened up your site and then that was it. Exit rate is they were on your site and then they clicked this guy right here and closed out. Activity log. This is here for people who are able to discover who is who for IP addresses. I'm not totally sure I understand why this information is available, but this is like literally the site that was on and like all of the information for that particular person. It's a little creepy. I feel like a stalker sometimes when I come on this activity log because like it's telling me exactly what kind of computer they have and what, you know, they used Chrome or Safari.
That's me.
And yeah, nice.
That is me.
I love it. So yeah, it's pretty nuts how specific this information can be. And then form and button conversions. If people are clicking on, this was my form submission when we did that test form. So this is if people submit a form and then button click. So it looks like people are using your buttons. They're looking at all the things. They're, oh yeah, your free download is getting used. People are looking at your CV. People are looking at workshops, all of that stuff. So this is going to show you what buttons are being used and aren't used. Site search keywords. This is going to be the information that comes from your Google console when you get it all connected. RSS subscribers is not relevant. You won't even need to look at that. Profiles, you can ignore this unless you decide that you have, you want to do like a membership style site of some kind or where people sign in and have access to a course or whatever their profile.
I just want to interrupt for a second. I probably sort of made a mistake and should have used a different meeting room than mine because I have an 11 o'clock that I have to leave for.
Okay.
And I didn't know if you and Mary might have some questions, final questions or something, because
Sure.
I have to close out this room. So
that's okay. That's okay. We're almost done. Let me hit stop share and turn the recording off.
Sweet. All right, now We'll share. Okay. Okay, so I think we were down here at settings, which is, yeah, we're really, really close. So this is going to be, you know, really. So domain connections already done, so you won't have to worry about this. You guys aren't using Google Workspace, so we don't need to worry about this either. If at any point she wants to make her site private or password protected, this is where you would do that.
Okay.
Permissions. So for example, I think right now you're logging in through Karen's
I am,
username
yes.
and password.
Mhm.
So I'm going to invite you as a contributor so that you can have your own
Perfect.
username and password so that you don't have to use
That
her
is
stuff.
great. Thank you.
Yeah. This is also if at any point in the future you guys need to add other people, you can have as many people on here as you want.
Perfect.
And that's
great.
where you'll do that. Site languages, like all of this stuff really is not totally necessary. Member sites, again, if she decides to sell like a course and has people logging into their own
Like
end of things or whatever.
Right.
Browser icon. This was something I wanted to ask her about. So browser icon is this piece right here. Right now she has literally the Squarespace logo, but like she could have
Oh,
her own little thing up there.
yes. Okay.
I was like, the ones that she sent me, we don't have a great option for
Well, that's what I
one.
was gonna ask. What do people usually put up there? I guess I never paid attention to them.
Right? Okay. So for example, sometimes people have like a circle version of their logo and
Okay.
we could put that up there, or she could just do KDB like in her font, just something really simple and small
Okay.
that we could put up there. Or it could be like she's really into these sort of like fun, fluffy
Yes.
you know, she could easily have just one of those in like her hot pink or something.
Do you make those in Canva and
You
upload
can.
them?
Yep.
Okay.
So the trick is that it needs to be in PNG format and it needs to be under 250 pixels.
Yes.
So it
Okay.
has to be really small. And you can just drag it. So if you download it to your, do you use a Mac or a Windows?
Mac.
Okay, great. So we're looking at the same kind of screen here.
Yes.
So if you just want to drag it from your Finder over,
Oh, nice.
you can
Okay.
do it that way as well. So once you've or if it's down here in your bottom like load footer or whatever, if it downloads to the bottom of your screen, you can just
Yes.
drag it there.
Okay, so that's under browser icon. Okay.
Yeah, so you'll go settings and then browser icon. Yep.
Okay.
That was the one thing that I was like, you need one. We don't have one. Really easy to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's
I'll
that.
get some options for her and
Cool.
we'll figure that out.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Social links. This is if, you know, these are all of her links that she has.
Mhm.
If you need to upload another one or change one, this is where you would change it. And then this would change it universally.
Could you add Eventbrite there, or is it really only those
Maybe
set ones?
let's go see what happens if I choose her, if I load her Eventbrite. So it's just going to look like let's see how it looks. So it's just a link. Looks like a paperclip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll ask her about that. We'll take that off for now.
Yeah. But
okay.
Yes, if you wanted to add something like that in the future, you just add it here and then it will add itself to wherever we have social links loaded.
Perfect. Okay, great.
Gosh, social sharing, that's already taken care of. Like if she were to upload or if somebody were to share her site to something else, I'll show you where all of that stuff is page per page. And then Pinterest save buttons, not mobile information bar. All of this stuff is not totally relevant for her. Import and export content. That's not, that's if we were like pulling stuff from another website, that's where we would do that.
Right.
Site promotion, developer tools. Yeah, this is all commerce stuff, which is not using. SEO, I'll hit that very last. Connected accounts, we don't have any. We talked about doing Instagram and having like a feed scroll, but she doesn't feel like she's present enough there.
Yeah, we're still working on that.
Yeah, and then if at any point she needs to change the billing information that she has here, if she wants to, like, if she decides that she does want to do that bigger subscription that would give her the 0% commerce transaction fee and stuff, this is where she would take care of all of that.
Okay.
Or if she needs a receipt, for example, all of that stuff is going to live here. And then I think that's it. Yeah, the help takes you to the help desk. That's everything for editing, and all of these little tabs. The last piece I wanted to touch on was the SEO. So each page has a gear next to it. And when you open these gears, you're going to have general, which is going to be changing the titles or the URL slug, making it enabled or disabled. If at some point she wants a page built, but she's not ready for it to go live, you could do password protected pages, and so on and so forth. But each of these pages is going to have an SEO tab. The home page is special. It gets its own unique stuff. So I'm going to open this up in a different page. So if you go to SEO, I have all of this stuff entered in already for each page. So the SEO title for the most part is the same as what you see on her site, with the exception of learning. I have learning and then a colon, and I have upcoming events. And the reason for that is because I want to think about words that other people might be using in a search to find Karen. So a lot of the text that's here in the SEO description for each page has a different SEO description. But instead of using I provide a range of professional services, I want to use her name, because people are more likely going to search for her by using her entire name. And so I want to have it in there as many times as possible so that it has more of a chance to hit for the search.
So that description right there, if I went into Google, like, is that what shows up then? That description?
Good question. Yes, it could be what shows up. You could have two different things happen. You could have what is so you'll have, oh gosh, it's so bizarre. At this point, she's actually probably not going to have this happen because she's not running any ads on her through a Google My Business account. But yes, likely what will happen is if somebody were to search and for some reason the supervision and consultation page showed up before home or about, something like that, this would be rare. Then yes, this right here is what will show up in the search.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I try to make it concise and really explain exactly, whatever she's doing. So you can see I intentionally kept TheraPlay in here, play therapy, consultation, anything that I would like want for her site to be associated with for a search.
Perfect. Okay.
So each of these has that specific information. And there are, I just took copy from each page. And it's all entered in. The only one that will have a unique SEO description is the home button, and the home page to edit that was settings, and then that has its own spot. So SEO.
Gotcha.
I have no site description for the home page, because it was something I wanted to ask her about, but I felt like this particular one is going to be the one that we need the most focus on. So I don't know if we want to co-write it or if I want to make a suggestion and send it to you. And or if I was almost thinking on her Eventbrite page, she has like this is really great. And
that's her
so
bio.
I was thinking this right here could be it. So that was something that I wanted to touch base with her on, because this is the page that's probably going to show up first in a search for Karen Doyle Buckwalter. Hopefully her homepage is the first thing that shows up, especially as it builds. accountability with Google. And so this description is going to get seen the most. And so I wanted to make sure that it was a really round, we only get 400 characters. So that's with spaces
Oh,
and
okay.
letters and such. So, you can't just dump in whatever.
Okay, right.
And some people have this like expectation that typing in SEO for a site is going to be like therapist near me, comma, theraplay instructor, comma, and it's just a bunch of words, but it isn't. It needs to be like a paragraph that covers
okay.
as much as we need. So
Okay.
I think probably what I'll do is I'll just write something up and I'll email it to you and her. And if you both think that it's okay, or if you want to make some changes, then I'll plop that in here. And then that's it.
Perfect. I think that's a
that
good
is the
idea. I was going
final
to
piece.
suggest you do that too. So,
Okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll do that and I'll send that over after we hang up here.
okay.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't think so. I think that all makes sense. Obviously, after I digest all this and look things over and get to work, I might have questions, and thank you for allowing us to touch base with you.
Totally.
But yeah, no, I think I have a pretty good idea. And I was in there before we met too, and it was very easy to learn a lot of it. But there's obviously a lot of details I don't know about, but just the basics was pretty straightforward.
Yep.
So
Awesome.